One of my favorite cookies, and you can only get it from a certain group of people a certain time of year, is the Thin Mint cookie. And I'm going to try to make some. Because of the temperature and humidity in my kitchen, I'm going to use butter-flavored Crisco, though I would prefer to use butter. But this dough is difficult to work with even with Crisco in this temperature, and butter is almost impossible. We're only making these cookies about an eighth of an inch thick, so they warm up way too fast. And with butter, they get very flexible very quickly, and you can't get them off the parchment paper and onto a baking sheet. So that's a half a cup of butter-flavored Crisco, and to that, we're going to add in a minute a half a cup of sugar, an egg, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of peppermint extract. Those are all for that. On this side of the equation, we have a cup of flour, 1/3 of a cup of cocoa powder, and a pinch, actually 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to whisk those together. I'm going to add the sugar now. What we do in the first place is we run the Crisco in the mixer long enough for it to start getting light and fluffy. It doesn't do that as well as butter does, but it does it. And then with the sugar in there, we let it mix for 2 or 3 minutes to help the sugar dissolve somewhat. Now I make a chocolate wafer cookie using this exact recipe except for the peppermint. And I'm kind of guessing on the amount of peppermint. I don't mind if it's a little strong. I hope it's not overpoweringly strong, but I hope it's got good flavor. We're going to set this aside, pour in our egg. Mix that on medium for just a minute. Now we'll pour in our teaspoon of vanilla extract and our 3/4 of a teaspoon of mint extract. Now we're going to pour in our flour. When you put that in there with the powdered cocoa in it, you don't want to start it off too fast because it will blow it all over your kitchen. That's long enough for that. We'll do the rest by hand. When you do this part, you want to be sure that you stir all the way to the bottom because there could be some flour just sitting there doing nothing at all, and we don't want that. Yep, it's got mint. That's good. That's what we want. All right. Now the question is, do I get brave and try to roll this out? And the answer is yes. What we're going to do with this is spray it a little bit. And we'll take a paper towel and spread that around a bit. This is going to end up going in the freezer for a few minutes. After we've cut the cookies, we will discover that we can't get them off of the sheet. And you know what? I don't want the whole thing all at once because that gives me too much to work with, and I don't have the time to do it before it gets too soft to work with. So you want to start with just a half a batch. My roller is set for about an 1/8 of an inch thickness. We have this little jar cover that works really well for about 1.5 inch cookies. That one's not round. I don't care. Those are going to be so good with mint chocolate on them. There's a lot to work with in this pan, so we need to work really quickly. Don't know why, but those are rolled out awfully thin on the edge. These were in the freezer overnight, and they're still so soft within a minute of getting them out of there that they're very difficult to get off of the parchment paper. That may be a factor of having shortening in them instead of butter, because butter would freeze more solid. But I think probably, I'm thinking about it, and I think probably if I'm going to have to freeze them anyway, I probably will make them with butter. The flavor is a little bit better, not a lot of difference, but a little bit. I do like the texture with the shortening better, so perhaps what I'll do next time is 50-50, half butter, half shortening. Let's try that next time, and it probably will be a next time because I think that the Thin Mint cookies are going to come out great. Actually, I think that all of them are going to come out great. Okay, so the first tray has been out long enough to cool off, so we'll put them on a cooling rack so that I can have this pan. I did discover with that last pan that it's better to take the pan to the freezer than bring the cookies to the pan. I have another stove sitting beside the freezer, so I just put the pan on top of that, pull the pan out of the freezer, quickly unload the cookies. Still didn't get them all unloaded, but I got most of them. I just put another pan in the oven, so I better set the timer. Beautiful, aren't they? Nice, little, round, flat on the bottom. But I can't tell you enough how hard these are to work with. According to my thermometer and my hygrometer, it is 78.5 degrees and 86% humidity. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're melting a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. We're going to dump in a tablespoon of vegetable oil, and we're going to stir that all together. And we're also going to stir in a quarter teaspoon of peppermint oil, or peppermint extract actually. And we'll stir it until everything is mixed well and the chocolate is totally dissolved, or totally melted, I should say. I think the process of dipping them might not be all that easy. Try something a little bit different with this one. Certainly not really a dip process. Getting hot enough now so it softens up the cookies. It's not really dipping, it's more putting them in here and on top of the chocolate and turning them around to get them coated, bringing them back out, smoothing that chocolate out somewhat. Now I've done this type of thing before, but if you haven't seen that video, what I've done here is a bowl over a pan full of water, and we boil the water. Now you don't want the water to touch the pan, but the idea is the heat will melt the chocolate without overheating it. Let's see if we can get a couple more. We're right just about at the limit, I'd say. Maybe one more. Yep, that's all we're gonna get. Now they're a long ways from cool enough to pick up and taste test for you, but I have tasted the chocolate. It's minty. I have tasted the cookies. They're minty. I believe this is going to be a success. Thank you very much for watching. See you next video.